All right, folks, welcome in. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We have the 2024 Ramy Awards, which I literally just created out of thin air. Maybe they already exist somewhere. Maybe it has nothing to do with the Rams or the NFL or anything, but as far as I can tell, this is an award that's never been thrown out there. So basically what we're going to do is we have all sorts of awards to give out end of the season. I'm not waiting until the end of week 18 and having any sort of recency bias. We're going to be talking about that. Before we get into it, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, be sure to follow me on all social media at JKBogan, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Kick. And in addition to that, just want to let you guys know that today's sponsor is BetUS. You can get a 150% bonus match on your first deposit and 125% on your next two deposits using the code YouTube150. As always, be sure to bet responsibly and get in on the action over there with BetUS. Okay, guys, so the 2024 Ramy Awards, and we are going to be starting from the bottom and working our way to the top. And obviously, no discredit to any of the awards, but essentially we're going to start from the moment of the year. Now, a lot of stuff has happened throughout this season, a lot of interesting things. Despite the fact the offense hasn't been overpowered or anything like that, we've had quite a few huge moments for the Rams this year, and not every one of those could be recognized. However, this award goes to the best play of the entire season by the Rams. And I have 5 nominees per each group. So we're going to start off with the first nominee, Cam Kinchin's 103-yard pick six versus the Seattle Seahawks. That was a hell of a play, probably led to them winning that game. So you got to, of course, give them credit there. Geno Smith was at the goal line, knocking on the door. Could have been a different ball game. And he took it out of the end zone and ran it back for 103 yards, which at the time was the longest play at all of all season. So 103 yards. It's the longest play in Rams franchise history. The rookie Cam Kinchin's really started to explode onto the scene, and that was one of those plays to do it. Number 2, Matthew Stafford breaks tackles to throw touchdown to Cooper Kupp versus Vikings. If you guys don't remember, Stafford rolled to his left. He broke some tackles and made an incredible touchdown pass on Thursday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings. It was just crazy, an absolutely crazy play. Not anything we haven't already seen from Stafford, but still crazy nonetheless. Number 3, from that same Seattle Seahawks game, we're going to go to the overtime winner. You can't forget about what actually won them the game. You can't take anything away from Demarcus Robinson's one-handed game-winning touchdown versus Seattle, in which he burned Reek Woolen off the line of scrimmage. Absolutely stellar throw, stellar catch, hangs on with one hand. Just crazy to go for that on third down. I mean, what can you say? Jake Hummel's blocked punt touchdown scored by Hunter Long versus Buffalo, which really kind of changed everything in that game. Do they lose that game to the Buffalo Bills? If they do, well, they'd be playing against Seattle for the division on Sunday. Instead, they win that game, a game that I didn't expect them to win. And I think a lot of that came down to that blocked punt. I think it really allowed them to take control of the game. It snowballed. Obviously, Rams go up by 17. Bills come back, but they just did not have enough time to get back into it. So say what you will, but Jake Hummel's block, that was huge, especially the fact that Hunter Long took it back and scored. Who would have thought his first touchdown would have been a punt block recovery and not an actual receiving touchdown? Last but certainly not least, you have the most impactful play of this season for any defense, according to the NFL analytics. Ahkello Witherspoon's game-winning interception versus Arizona we saw last Saturday, and it was a crazy play in which Kyler Murray threw the ball right at, literally right at Trey McBride's helmet, went flying up in the air, and Ahkello Witherspoon, who was pretty far away from the ball, used every bit of that 6'3", 6'4" frame and picked the ball off with both hands, hits the ground, but it never moves because of how just incredible that catch was. That sealed the deal for the Rams. It pretty much locked up the division. And so that, you could say, with Kyler Murray knocking on the door to try to win the game, that might have saved the Rams' season. So, without further ado, moment of the year goes to Ahkello Witherspoon game-winning interception. Say what you will, and all of them are very deserving, but that play, that moment was certainly the moment of the year. You can't take anything away. Anytime that you have a player who hasn't really even played that much that season be an unsung hero and just the stakes saving the season, as it were, that's moment of the year. So congratulations to Ahkello Witherspoon and Cameron Curl, who were a part of that play. Cameron Curl does not get enough credit for what he did off the line of scrimmage. He really pressed Trey McBride, and as great as McBride is, it goes off his helmet, but what you don't see, because a lot of people just assume Cam Curl got beat, what you don't see is how Cam Curl, pressing him at the line of scrimmage, threw off Trey McBride. He was all out of sorts. The ball wasn't thrown particularly bad by Kyler Murray. McBride should have caught that, but by the disruption from Cam Curl at the very beginning of the route, you could tell he did enough to really throw off Trey McBride. So shout out to Cam Curl, and obviously shout out to Ahkello for winning Moment of the Year of the Ramy Awards. The next Ramy Award is Unsung Hero of the Year, and the nominees are Michael Hoyt, Jalen McCullough, Omar Spates, Bo Limmer, and Xavier Smith. And the Ramy Award for Unsung Hero of the Year is going to Michael Hoyt. This one was tough. Jalen McCullough, obviously UDFA, safety, ran a really slow 40 time, wasn't a priority free agent. The Rams really liked him. And then all of a sudden he emerges and ends up actually playing and having 4 interceptions this season. Key and critical player. Definitely worth being a nominee. It was tough not to pick him. Omar Spates, he really had an argument. UDFA becomes the starting inside linebacker week 8 and just really takes away with it. I thought you saw the best linebacker play. You have seen the best linebacker play out of Roseboom since he took over. Bo Limmer became the center when he was drafted in the 6th round and really was thought of as kind of a long-term option. Kind of got thrown into the fire and really did a nice job. And Xavier Smith has been one of the best gunners I've seen all season in the NFL. And he's been a solid kick returner, very good special teamer in general. And this is a guy that wasn't on the 53 last year, worked his tail off to make the 53, and you've seen that. But I went with Michael Hoyt, and here's why. Michael Hoyt wins this Unsung Hero of the Year because Michael Hoyt had the 3 blocked kicks. Now, all 3 of them were important, especially the one against Arizona, which could have won them the game if you really want to look at it from that perspective. But the thing about Michael Hoyt is that he's been utilized as the 3rd guy instead of the 2nd guy last year. And Hoyt had a much bigger role last year. Knew he wasn't going to have the same role, came back anyway, cheap deal and everything, and has been a huge asset on the special teams unit, but also on the defensive side in those cheetah packages, getting him going. Doesn't have, the same amount of pressures as he did the year before, but he has been vital, and his versatility matters to this team. His leadership matters. So Unsung Hero of the Year, a lot of people were okay with moving on with Michael Hoyt. Well, he's been huge this year. Don't know where the Rams would be without him, but there's a chance they very well could have lost that Cardinals game without him and some other games. So shout out to Michael Hoyt for winning Unsung Hero of the Year Ramy Award. Upcoming, we got the Newcomer of the Year, and this award goes to, of course, the best non-rookie newcomer on the roster because, of course, a rookie would be Rookie of the Year. So, Newcomer of the Year, the nominees, everybody is pretty much nominated because the Rams added about 5 guys that were not currently, previously on the roster to the roster Darius Williams, Colby Parkinson, Jonah Jackson, Neville Gallimore, and Cameron Curl. And the winner of Newcomer of the Year goes to Cameron Curl, who may have wanted to start off his season a little bit better than he did, but I thought he really came into his own as the season went on. And this is a guy that I've always been very fond of, going back to watching him at Washington, really good against the run, underrated cover guy, kind of gets thrown into the fire there last year with all those guys. I mean, just not a good secondary in Washington. And he got clumped into that mess. And I think it was really impressive what we saw, from Cameron Curl over his entire career. And when the Rams brought him in on the deal that they did, because I think they got an absolute steal with him, that was huge. And it took a little bit, but you really see he is worth what they gave up or what they paid. And Cam Curl, the way he's playing down the stretch is an exciting thing, because this guy can hit, this guy can disrupt, he's physical, and I just think his best is yet to come. I think he's going to be big in the postseason. So shout out to Cameron Curl winning Newcomer of the Year. Moving on, we have Most Improved Player of the Year Ramy Award. Now, the nominees are Christian Roseboom, Quentin Lake, Kobe Durant, Kobe Turner, and Ethan Evans. This goes to the non-rookie who showed the most improvement from 2023. Now, looking at Roseboom, some would say that's ridiculous. How could you say Roseboom? And now he has a chance to, he could break the tackle record for the Rams, I'm pretty sure. He's had quite the year and quite the turnaround. Kobe Durant was arguably their best cornerback until he got hurt, and now he's been benched, not because he did anything, but more so because of Ahkello Witherspoon and just sticking with the hot hand. Kobe Turner is a model of consistency, and anybody that thought that he was just playing off of Aaron Donald and reaping the benefits of playing next to Donald, well, he's done it again in year 2, and he's even better. So that proved to not be true. Ethan Evans is one of the best punters in the league. I think he's underrated and definitely deserves the recognition here. But the Most Improved Player of the Year is Quentin Lake, who's really done a stellar job turning around his career. This is a guy that started off looking like, unfortunately, while I love the pick, he was dealing with injuries. He was banged up. It didn't look like he was going to stick around. We saw Terrell Burgess in the past, a guy that had a lot of talent, but injuries kind of robbed him. Quentin Lake went from 53 tackles to 111 tackles. He had 2 sacks this season. He's been a huge leader, a captain, and so he gets the honors here for Most Improved Player of the Year. Quentin Lake, from 6th-round pick out of UCLA to becoming a captain for the LA Rams and becoming a focal point in that secondary, a guy that can play kind of all over the secondary. He is so key and critical to this team. He is a leader, and the Rams feel very good about him as he goes into his contract year next season. Congrats to Quentin Lake. All right, we move on to Rookie of the Year. Now, this is not, and this is the thing here. When it comes to Rookie of the Year, normally it's unanimous. Normally it's obvious. But while it might be obvious to some, you can't discredit what the Rams did with this rookie class. This draft, another one that they just hit, just crazy hit rate on this draft. So Rookie of the Year award nominees are Braden Fisk, Jared Verse, Josh Carty, Omar Spates, and Bo Limmer. Keep in mind, there are guys that could have been on this that didn't make it. Like talking about Jordan Whittington, right? Ty Davis. I mean, I'm not saying Ty Davis would have won it, but they did such a nice job in this draft. You just can't take anything away from them there. But the winner of this, and it feels weird, but it's really not close. Despite how great this draft was, despite how well some of the other guys played, it's Jared Verse, and I think it would be unanimous. As great as Braden Fisk has played, Jared Verse is among the best pass rushers in the league already. Absolute home run pick. stayed at 19, had him fall into your lap after being unable to trade up and get Brock Bowers like you wanted, being unable to trade up and get Byron Murphy, and Jared Verse falls into your lap. Crazy stuff. It worked out perfectly. It's going to work out for a while, I would say. Rams have to feel good. Jared Verse is your Rammy Award Rookie of the Year. And we move on to the most consistent player of the year. And again, I made these awards, so I'm not saying there is a award, but there should be. The most consistent player of the year goes to a player that shows the most balanced play and has the most consistency on the year. Very simple. So the nominees for that award are Alaric Jackson, model of consistency at left tackle. Regardless of what you say, he has been huge for them, and I think he's going to get paid. Kobe Turner, we already talked about. Just another really good year from him. Really good second year. Clearly shows he's going to stick around. Kevin Dotson. This man has played every game except for Week 18. A deservedly so rest for Kevin Dotson. But you go back to Week 1, and he suffers an ankle injury in which he plays all the way through, leaves Ford Field in a walking boot, and never misses a snap. He was out there pretty much every single snap this year and just absolutely dominant. I think his deal is an utter home run, and I think that when you look at Kevin Dotson, the trade Snead made for him, it just gets even better. So obviously, Kevin Dotson is a nominee. Puka Nacua. Despite missing 6 games, Nacua came back and became one of the best receivers in football. I think now, without a doubt, he is a top 5 receiver. The question is, will that be enough? Despite missing 6 games, will that be enough for him to win Consistent Player of the Year? And last but certainly not least, Kyren Williams. This guy played the most. He had the most touches of any Rams player since Steven Jackson and Sam Bradford's rookie year 2010. Kyren Williams was scrutinized for only playing 12 games last year, dealing with injuries, being injury prone, and, of course, his fumbles. Now, his fumbles did pop up. However, since the Eagles game, he hasn't fumbled. He's been a model of consistency, and he's been huge for this team, carrying on a significant load for the offense when the offense is really kind of sputtered in the passing game. With that said, the most consistent player of the year goes to Kevin Dotson, who I think is slowly but surely becoming one of the best guards in all of football, and I think it's time for him to get the respect that he deserves. He was not named as a Pro Bowler, which is an absolute joke to me. Did not get any All-Pro votes last year. Probably won't get him this year. But this guy is borderline All-Pro for the Rams. It needs to be talked about more. The Rams struck gold with Kevin Dotson. Moving on, toughest player of the year. This goes to the gutsiest player on the team who plays through obvious pain and or takes on abnormal workload. So, with that said, the nominees for toughest player of the year go to Kevin Dotson. Kevin Dotson, like I mentioned, played through ankle issues and never missed a snap. Matthew Stafford, come on now. You just watch him every game. He's getting hit in the chest. He's getting hit somewhere. He gets up. It might be a little gingerly, but then he gets up and he'll throw a 20-yard rocket, layered over a linebacker's head. Stafford is clearly just built different. Cooper Kupp, he dealt with that sprained ankle. Clearly, has not been the same, but you see him playing through it. He still feels like he's hampered by something, but he continues to get out there, and the guy is tough. You can't take anything away from him there. How about Kyren Williams? Again, we go back to toughness, but we also go back to the abnormal workload. This is a guy that took 58 carries in 4 days, over 2 games. The short week with the 49er game after the Bills game. This is a guy that's had over 300 carries. This is no longer just a scat back. You have to call him a workhorse because that's what he is. The last 2 years, nobody has touched the ball more than him. He absolutely belongs on here. And last but certainly not least, Bobby Brown III, which you might not realize it, but this guy is always playing banged up. He's in the trenches. He gets his foot stepped on. He gets ankle banged up, and he's always playing through. He's a tough dude, does not get enough respect. He's a nominee, but it's pretty obvious where we go here. The toughest player of the year is Matthew Stafford for the LA Rams. Stafford is just built different. He gets hit in the sternum. He probably has broken ribs and a bunch of other ailments. We found out that he was 65% healthy. That was the report during the Super Bowl season. Wouldn't be surprised to find that out. He gets absolutely decked. The offensive line has been banged up all year, so he hasn't had a starting offensive line for the majority of the season. They pretty much only 3 or 4 games, if you even want to say that. So he's done his best to stay upright. Hasn't been sacked the last 4 weeks because of his ability, but that doesn't mean he's not getting hit. And he gets hit quite a bit, and so he gets the toughest player of the year. That leaves 3 more awards. Defensive Player of the Year for the LA Rams. Nominees are Kobe Turner, Quentin Lake, Braden Fisk, Byron Young, and Jared Verse. This goes to the most productive defensive player on the team, and the winner of the Defensive Player of the Year Ramy Award is Jared Verse. Crazy, right? Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. Jared Verse should probably get some Defensive Player of the Year consideration. The thing that will hurt him is the 4.5 sacks. But when you're talking about having a top 5 spot in pressures, you're talking about a really, really talented player. This guy is going to get better and better as time goes on. Jared Verse is your Rams Defensive Player of the Year. Now, we have 2 more awards. We got the Offensive Player of the Year award, and the nominees are Kyren Williams, Puka Nacua, Matthew Stafford, Alaric Jackson, and Kevin Dotson. Guess what? All 5 of those guys are sitting out, and rightfully so, in Week 18 because they are so key and critical to how far this team is going to go in the playoffs. This goes to the most productive offensive player on the team. Alaric Jackson was huge this year. Kevin Dotson, we've raved about in this video. Stafford, just being able to basically navigate through all of the pain, all of the injuries, and the lack of communication and what have you, different wide receivers and offensive linemen and tight ends going in and out of the roster and the lineup. And Stafford did his best. Puka Nacua coming back after missing 6 games and being arguably one of the best wide receivers in football during that time. And Kyren Williams, like I said, with the workload. The winner of the Offensive Player of the Year, which goes to the most productive offensive player on the team, is none other than the leader in touchdowns the last 2 years, Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams has gone above what is required of just a regular running back. He has always been scrutinized. He's always too slow, not explosive enough, doesn't break enough tackles. It does not matter because what you can't quantify, despite the fact he had over 1,200 yards rushing and he's had 30 touchdowns the last 2 years. But what you can't quantify is the fact that Kyren Williams is also a killer in pass protection. He's decleated multiple guys this year. He has kept Stafford healthy. He's kept Stafford upright. He's done things that not many others could do. His snap percentage is again insane. The snap share is ridiculous. They count on him so much. This Week 18 rest is very well deserved. Played every single game this year for the Rams up until Week 18. Kyren Williams was the most productive offensive player. Is Puka Nacua a better player? Yes. But Puka Nacua missed 6 games. Kyren Williams had to be there when Puka was out. So give Kyren Williams a lot of praise, a lot of respect. He earned this. He gets the Offensive Player of the Year Ramy Award. And last, but certainly not least, we have the Most Outstanding Rams Player Award, which goes to, quite simply, the best player on the roster. And the nominees are Jared Verse, Kyron Williams, Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, and Kevin Dotson. I do truly believe those are the 5 best players on the team. So who wins the award? The winner of the most outstanding player award, the last Ramy award of the 2024 Ramy Awards, goes to Puka Nacua. And here's why. Offensive player of the year went to Kyron Williams because Kyron Williams was the most productive offensive player. Puka Nacua is clearly the best player on this team. He's the most important. He's the most valuable. When you look at star power, it's Puka Nacua. Now, I said most important. Obviously, you can make a case. You can make a huge case for the quarterback. Obviously, the quarterback's the most important. Matthew Stafford has every right to be considered here. However, I think Nacua is just the best player on this team. His standing among his peers, among his position, is higher than anybody in the league. I think Stafford, you could argue, is a top 5 quarterback. Puka, you could argue, is a top 3 wide receiver. That is where I see it. Nacua showed last year that was great. What can you do this year? Well, he gets banged up. What does he do? He comes back and immediately adds this injection of life in the offense. You've seen it right away. You've seen how explosive he's been. You've seen the target share. He is so key and critical. He's 10 yards away from 1,000 yards after missing 6 games. Yes, Puka Nacua is built differently. He is going to be huge for the playoffs. His first ever playoff game against the Lions, he had almost 200 yards receiving. If he does that again, I think this is a better team than last year in a lot of respects. I think the Rams are going to go very far. So, most outstanding player goes to Puka Nacua, who should be considered the best player on the Rams. And I would be absolutely shocked if they don't extend him and give him a long-term deal sooner than later. But guys, those are the Ramy Awards. I've never done this before. It wasn't all extravagant. I don't have a suit on. Maybe I should have. I don't have a, backdrop where I'm at an awards show. It's JE style. It's YouTube style. But look, if you enjoyed this, please let me know in the comments section and I'll do it again. Just in 2025. I won't do it next week because it's already done. But hope you guys enjoyed. I had a lot of fun, really kind of thinking about this, very thought-provoking to kind of go through each award, like who deserves it. I went back and forth. I think the one that was the most controversial for me was the Unsung Hero of the Year. And I think in a lot of respects, maybe Michael Hoyt wasn't the best candidate, or wasn't the best, right? He was definitely a candidate. And maybe like Unsung Hero, that speaks more to like a Jalen McCullough, who wasn't expected to be anything near what he ended up being. Omar Speights, I just struggled with because I didn't really think he was unsung. And I think a lot of fans would agree with me. Omar Speights, while he was a UDFA, I think a lot of us felt that he was capable of this. A lot of us felt like, he was going to be the best linebacker of the bunch. And he should have been starting since week 1. And who knows if he ever ends up starting if Troy Reader doesn't go down. So that's that, right? And, I feel like doing this, it's a cool exercise because while it's all, kind of theatrical and everything in a sense, it's a little different than what I do on this channel. It really is thought-provoking. And I hope people take names like Kevin Dotson and really think about how important they are to this team, because Kevin Dotson, by putting him in the nominees in the top 5, I am saying, when I really thought about it, he's a top 5 player on the LA Rams. I really believe that. So there's a lot of things to take away from this. Obviously, like I said, Stafford has an argument for most outstanding player, all of that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I mean, in short, I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's different. I'm going to have more videos like this where I try like different theming and stuff. But yeah, a little bit overdue. Maybe we should have done it in 2024, but it is what it is. Season wasn't over, to be fair. But that's going to do it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Be sure to follow me on all social media at JKBogan, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Kick. And just want to let you guys know again, remind you, if you're looking for a sports book, you can check out our sponsor today, BetUS. 150% on your first deposit, 125% sign-up bonus on your next 2 deposits using the code YouTube150. As always, bet responsibly. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, folks. Later. And just a quick reminder, my new YouTube channel, if you want to support me further, it is The Lounge. I'll be having all sorts of guests from athletes, entrepreneurs, musicians, artists, actors, you name it. I am going to bring them on. So I'm looking forward to this show. It's going to get off the ground very shortly. We're over 500 subscribers. So it'd be really awesome to get to 1,000 before we even drop our first video, which will be soon. That's asking a lot. But if you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button, and can't wait to see you guys there. In case you guys haven't noticed, I do have a Discord channel for my community on this channel. And if you want to be a part of it, it is free. The link is in the description below. You can sign up. This is basically a 24/7 Rams channel, and we are almost at 1,100 members. So if you want to be a part of it, just hit the link in the description below.